Often my neighbors say, well, what exactly do you do? I say, well, I design cars. Well, yeah, I know, but what do you really do? Well, I design cars. Well, how? And it's a long, drawn-out process of explaining to them, well, we start out with sketches, full-size renderings, and then full-size clay models.
Well, I think the average person doesn't really understand what a designer is. There are a lot of preconceived notions of what a designer is, and a lot of people think there's some sort of a fruitcake that runs around designing curtains and picking out fabrics and so on, but the design business is a rather all-encompassing job now. You're a half-baked engineer, a half-baked artist, a half-baked jeweler, a half-baked... you're a lot of things. You've got to be able to do a little bit of everything, and also your main job, which is aesthetics.
The designer is his own man. What he does, what he feels, what turns him on or off are all part of a process essential to the development of every Ford product.
I don't look for what I see in myself because there are dozens of different people that, or different types of people that actually have creative talent. Their personalities are different, their hobbies are different.
I don't think anybody can walk down the street anymore without getting excited, especially designer. Myself, I know that there's so many things to look at, so many things to hear now that you can't ignore it. It's all over.
Who can say where an idea for an automobile is born? What feeds the creative mind, the searching mind of Ford designers who are designing all the time, growing, learning, making the connection between their life and their work?
A designer is inherently dissatisfied with things the way they are. That's why he's a designer. So you're constantly recreating what you're doing as you do it.
Airplanes have turned me on since I was 6 years old. I used to sneak over to Teterboro Airport, New Jersey, and stand by the fence every afternoon after school, and I can't explain why. Owning this machine right here is a boyhood ambition.
Every designer takes what he can from every experience and pours it all back into the automobile. That's what the design business is all about, and the designer. Sooner or later, the car comes first, because it must, and the good designer knows it.
I'd rather design cars, because that's what I am. I am not an airplane designer. Airplane designers are mathematicians, they're engineers, it's a science. Car design, to me, is an emotion.
That's me. That's my life, the automobile. The racing car even is more of my life. As a matter of fact, this car, is a proposal for a racing vehicle to be raced by Ford Motor Company. I don't know whether we'll ever realize its actual usage on the racetrack or not. However, in lieu of that, I've decided, and I have, built my own car. It's the thing that I do. It's something that I guess I was born with. It's a mid-engine car, powered by a Lotus Cortina Ford double overhead cam engine. The car is capable of 150 miles an hour. It's only 40 inches high. It's a beautiful red. I would say it's an extension of myself.
I don't think any serious designer can separate his work from his life. I think it's a terrific time to be alive.
Everything is design, and we're totally surrounded by it. There's an interesting relationship or correlation between what happens in one field of design and what happens in another field. It's vitally important, it seems to me, that a a car, like everything else that surrounds us, be as up-tempo as our society is. Designing is, for the market, is actually our sole purpose in life. Say, design for the man or design for the market. After all, the market is comprised of many, many men. So when we design for the market, we do, in a sense, design for the man. The colors and the fabrics that are used are frequently studied with great care so that the car interiors and car color exteriors are closely reflecting what is a la mode in the marketplace.
If you're a new young designer, the first time you see a company the size of Ford or somebody making 800,000 of something you've done with your hands, it can't help but affect you emotionally a little bit. I've had a hand in designing several automobiles, and it is kind of a thrill to, you catch yourself stopping on the street and saying, hey, there goes one of my what's-its-names.
But until that what's-its-name becomes a Mercury or Cougar, a Mustang or Continental, it's a clay and paper problem, a challenge that belongs to many men.
Mr. Spencer?
Good things about being a manager are being able to lead other designers and to use their talents, and the environment of the design center in itself is fantastic to me.
We need some electric excitement in the front of this car, and I see a repetition here that is kind of redundant. I don't know, Jerry, what do you think about it? I don't want to lean on this thing too hard, but
I think it's a very conventional looking.
our people, our customer, he wants the drama in this automobile, and I don't think we're catching it here. I think we're catching it in some of the others, especially this one looks very masculine. A man will part with his money for that because he's different. Jerry, do you think this looks like real solid Thunderbird stuff?
I'm sure we can work out the details in 3 dimensions. The Thunderbird ought to be a real pace setter, a controversial looking design, especially on the front end, I believe.
It should have a lot of identity, and I think we'll get more credit for the car as opposed, say, to a more of an economy type automobile, which this looks like to me. This is a personal opinion, of course, but I think it just has that connotation that this is a powerful, luxurious Land Cruiser type of automobile.
I think the worst thing that a manager has to take is the frustrations of losing some design proposals. And when he's put himself and his team into the work that he's doing, and he really believes in it, and he thinks that what he's suggesting is the best answer, and then he loses. Management turned down what he's proposing. Let's say for a full-size clay model. He thinks it's the greatest thing he ever did. It's better than all the competitive cars. It's way out. And then management say, well, it's not really what we're looking for, or it's over cost. Even if a red-hot design proposal is accepted, sometimes the feasibility and cost studies get to you, and you lose out on that.
We have a small change on the windshield. We're going to straighten up the angle a little bit. We'll hold it at the cowl. We have to pick it up here at the header. So we'll blend from this header position back to the 40-inch line.
Are you going to use the same sweep in here?
Yes, I think I'd use the same sweeps.
All right, sir. Okay, let's check the bridge. Even inch line. Bottom on the 35. Set the station at 0. We'll check to see whether we're touching base at the cowl. Yes. Okay. Lock it in.
Give me the 0, would you, Art?
Down from the 35. 11:22.
Okay.
Swing it over to 10.
The one underlying thing that is common to all of them is an ability to not only create time and again, but if in the rejection process, for him to be able to bounce back and have at it again without, for example, going into a 2-week blue funk is of vital importance. And that's the thing that really separates the amateur from the professional.
What's the problem, Jim?
Well, we got a problem on the hood. Swing condition. Stamping the hood. Whether we have a patch or whether we have a redraw die. And if you put the hood cut in here or whether you run it right down the side and open the whole grill ornament along with it. We're doing the work with the scanner, and we're getting a surface to either put a patch in here and MIG weld it or redraw the die.
Well, one of the things you really got to watch, Jim, is the gaps on these Mark IIIs. Is that unless this central theme really fits right into that metal, why the whole thing starts to fall apart on you. Well, I guess then, Jim, the real key is to get some real good information with the scanner in this local area right here, right with the manufacturing people. So, Sandy, I think what we better do then is get some real good scanning information on this particular spot right here and get that information as soon as we can, get the manufacturing people together with us over here and see what the best solution is.
Okay, and at the same time, Sandy, pick up a little on the outside end here, too.
Very good. Yeah, because we want to keep that as slim as we can.
Okay, very good.
Very good.
At this point, a maroon Dynock idea that may become a Mark III is an engineering problem. And for a time, even the machines have something to say. But the creative process must begin with a creative mind.
People are very, particularly in the truck end of automotive design, are a little reluctant to accept new ideas as far as the buying public. They're strong to stick with the old standbys, so when you do add something new to your vehicles, you have to kind of add it in very slowly. And that's why possibly the evolution of trucks is a little slower than automobiles. We're concerned with strength and rigidity, which people will be looking for who are going to use this vehicle, because it's specifically used for getting out into the woods and getting across heavy obstacles that's in its way. One of the things that I'm trying to do to emphasize this is its rugged character would be using a lot of very strong, heavy horizontal lines through the body. I'm a graduate trainee. This is what the people who start right out of college start as on a training program which lasts 25 months, which within that time you travel from studio to studio. You have 5 studios you're in, and this way they feel that they accustom you to all of the different realms of automotive design, so you're not a specialist in one particular studio.
The non-specialist who goes to work for Ford ends up doing everything in a dozen studios on 1,000 square yards of specialization, sometimes not even designing cars.
I don't think you sell very many cars right off the floor of an auto show. I mean, literally, of course you don't. If we can make an auto show visitor leave that Coliseum or that amphitheater and think that he's seen an exciting, upbeat display from the Ford Motor Company, then we've sold a car. One recent development that looks like it has a lot of potential to us is laser light. And this is such a wild new thing. It's like discovering a whole new kind of light. When I can find something new that nobody did before, that's visual and that it's simple, you see, then that's the best thing I can do. That's exciting for me.
Exploring other areas in design is a beautiful part of working in home products. A car basically has 4 wheels, and it has a configuration. In home products, the packages change on every item that you work on. In today's design, we ask the question, why does a thing have to be that big? What is it supposed to do? What kind of reaction is the buyer supposed to have when he looks at it? I guess it hasn't changed really from the day I started working here. It's a real challenge to continue coming in and working day after day and coming up with new ideas, but this challenge keeps one young.
The creative challenge that makes the designer young can also take a sleek fiberglass idea of tomorrow and make that happen too.
In any other studio, when we're doing a car, we have to be concerned about basic package requirements. Do the people fit inside? Does the engine fit inside? Do we have a certain amount of trunk space? In this studio, we didn't worry about any of these requirements. We were just interested in an exciting, dramatic form. We explored forms without wheels. We explored forms without direction. And I think it's interesting that in spite of our freedom, we seemed to like those shapes which looked most like cars. Our procedure was to do a small model without limitations, and then to go on into a full-size model like this one, in clay. When it was the way we liked it, then we'd have it cast in fiberglass like this car. I think this lack of any kind of control has helped us come up with some ideas and concepts that I don't think we would have done. I'm sure we wouldn't have done if we had been controlled in any way.
Well, we've been into this now 6 or 8 months, and I like the, you know, the product of this effort. I think that it shows signs of being very, very useful.
It's been very useful, and it's an interesting sidelight is that it's all of us have our pet ideas we've been carrying around for years.
Yes, this is.
And we've all had a chance to try them and find out if they're really that good or not.
And I think this is a great area for people to kind of go through the loosening process and kind of exercise that freedom of expression, which is so important to the creative person.
Form can be almost like a religion. You either believe in it or you don't. I sometimes think of a car as an object related to sculpture, the sculpture that I do, the sculpture that I see. And for all of my life, I think I've been influenced by movement. And of course, the lines in automobiles, they reflect this a great deal. And therefore, I think there's a tremendous relationship of this particular element of aesthetics that reflect in both areas, the car, the sculpture, the lines, the movement. All these things are interrelated somehow with design.
I think a little rub-off of airplanes into automobile design can't hurt, as long as you don't misinterpret what I mean by rub-off. You shouldn't just copy an airplane and make a car look like a jet. I think that's stupid.
Ken, would you suggest that I raise this up a little bit, say about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and bring it back in here again?
No, I think it's giving us some difficulty with the line, but I'd rather struggle with the thing. We want this car to look a little fierce and a little like it eats fire hydrants and things, and let's struggle with this darn thing. And I want to keep the air coming in the top, too, and get some engineering people worrying about how we're going to get air in the top and the bottom and cool the thing at the same time.
This morning, I thought we could discuss this theme car from the standpoint of whether the content is evolutionary enough to be accepted by the public as the next generation of Mustangs, or whether it's such a departure that it wouldn't be accepted or recognized as one.
Well, I think it probably would be, Don, but I think that it's more important that you start with the beginning. Will people fit in it? What did you use for a package? You'd have to make some engine adjustments, or at least the accessories, in order to get things
we
to
do
fit,
have to. We're still addressing that part of the problem, and definitely there are some real problems in the engine compartment area.
What do you think, Buzz?
I think we've had experience with the Italian small cars and taking their themes.
Well, that isn't what you said on the way out here. Well, matter of fact, on the way out here, you were saying, boy, this is a little contrived, that it looks like it's straining pretty hard to make a statement, and I would agree that if you tried it on a larger car, you might not be able to get away with it, but this package seems to lend itself to it, to me. So I take it you have some nervousness about scaling this up to a conventional-sized car, huh?
Well, I think it would be well to test it in that size and then judge at that point.
You know, I think it's got a hell of a lot going for it. It's not just a conventional car with some lines drawing on it. The form of it is inherent in the design. It's actually sculptured in. I think we got some problems here. I'm sure Don knows about them from an engineering standpoint.
There again, we do have to make some kind of a study of how it appears in the darker colors, because I think it's going to need some chrome emphasis, very definitely.
Yeah, I think so.
Before this fiberglass car becomes tomorrow's Mustang, before it comes up to that name, it will change many times. Ideas will pour into it. The energy, the creativity, the lives of 100 men will remake it. And it will be a Ford product.